Hi, everyone. It's Melanie here at the Halton Hills Chamber of Commerce. And today I am joined by really one of my favorite people. So, Carm Bozzo, did I say it right?
You did.
Oh, I
Yep.
hope I did it. Awesome. So, Carm is with the Halton Women's Place. And Halton Women's Place is near and dear, I know, to a lot of us. They do some great work in our community. And we thought it would be a great opportunity to pop on and chat about, what the mandate of your organization is and maybe shine a little bit more light on the good work that you do in our community. So welcome. Thanks for joining me today, Carm.
Well, thank you for this opportunity. I think it's a great way to let more and more people in North Halton, Georgetown specifically, know about Halton Women's Place and our programs and services.
Yeah, and that's exactly why we wanted to talk today, because you and I have chatted about this before. A lot of people in Georgetown don't actually know that there is not only a women's shelter that services Georgetown, but there are a lot of outreach services that you do that can support women that are facing, intimate partner violence, or where they just need an outlet where they can get some support. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about Halton Women's Place and the services that you offer?
Absolutely. So just like you mentioned, we are the women's shelter in Halton. So we are the only women's shelter in Halton, with two shelter facilities one in Milton, one in Burlington, but we service all women across Halton and really and beyond if they're really in need. But our mandate is to support women who are fleeing abusive and violent relationships. And of course, they can bring their dependent children as well. And yes, we have two shelter facilities. So two shelters where women can stay while they work with a counselor on next steps. But not all women want to or need to come into a shelter. So sometimes I think that's a bit of a stereotype or a fear for women if they're calling the crisis line. For number one, I guess I should say, is that we have a 24-hour crisis information and support line and online chat that came through the pandemic.
Oh,
Yeah, which is great way for women to ask questions and call. I want women to know that it is 100% confidential, but also just because you call the crisis line or you create a chat online does not mean you have to come into the shelter. So sometimes women are afraid of that, right? Because they're not quite ready. What is the next step? Some women are
mhm.
calling as well because they just want to navigate, is what I'm going through considered abuse. So they
Yeah.
may be feeling a little, having some questions. So we want women to know that they can call, and they can call many times to talk to someone about their situation, to find out what are next steps. We have women that call for many weeks to figure out a safety plan. They're working on a
Mm,
safety plan on the best time for them to leave and what that looks like and what to bring.
mhm.
So I want women in the community to know that the crisis line is also that information and support line. And I think I want the community to know that even if you're not a woman or that is looking for support, but you have questions about someone in your life that you
Oh,
think may be experiencing abuse in their relationship, and you have questions, how could I support my friend, or what can I say, or what can she do? We also provide that information on our crisis support line. So it's really important for that. But as well, we have community outreach programs. So women who
mhm.
don't, like I said in the beginning, don't necessarily need to come and live in the shelter. They have a place to stay, but they still need that support. So they're looking for, resources. They're looking for resources with family court,
Mhm.
housing, even their children, those type of issues that they have to figure out, but they can still stay in their home. So we have women that are counselors that will meet women in the community, so they don't have to come like living into the
Oh,
shelter, which
mhm.
is a wonderful resource and it's quite a high in demand program as well for women who are
Yeah.
just in the community.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you highlighted that because, like you said, everyone's in a different situation, and so they may need to plug in at different levels. And maybe that stigma or the fear of that final, they feel like it's so final coming into the shelter, you can support in other ways. But you've got both, which is so great. Um, what I love about your website whenever I pop on there is that the first thing you see is how you can access support. I love that that's on every single page.
Yes.
And that there's I don't even know what you call it, but that you can close it really quickly just in case someone.
Yes, we have an exit now button. So
Mhm.
if you are a woman that is looking for resources and support, but need to get off website really quickly, because let's say your partner is approaching, you
Yeah.
can really quickly, and it clears that for you. So we want to make sure that women are safe in all capacities, and which is one of the reasons we don't answer crisis calls on our social media. We do sometimes get, some inquiries through social media, but we want to make sure that she stays as safe as possible. And calling our number or using our online chat is definitely that way. But in North Halton, because what we saw over the pandemic was the number of women who were calling the police from North Halton, but not calling the shelter. So that we saw that there was a bit of a
Oh,
disconnect there. And so what we really realized is, we need to have a bigger presence in North Halton so that more and more of the community knows that there is a women's shelter, for them to access, to reach out to. And so what we have is some staff that are in the libraries in North Halton once a week, to provide that kind of drop in feel. And so women are able to drop in to a very safe place like a library or community center and talk to one of our staff if they have some questions or want to do some safety planning.
okay.
So it's a great resource. We need to get there even more, and create more awareness about
Mhm.
the fact that we're there, but also that they can access services. And that, like you said, like sometimes people are surprised that there's a women's shelter, and then to find out there's two, and then to find out how busy we are and how that we're typically full, is a surprise for some people.
Yeah, for sure, especially if it's not something that you experience in your daily life. Um, talk to me about the library. So, if a woman who is needing support, like you said, it's a nice safe space to go. You can tell your partner you're going to the library and it's not going to ring any bells.
Right.
How do they connect with your staff member that is there? Do they have to reach out in advance, or they can just ask
No,
someone at the library?
absolutely drop in. There's usually a sign that says that Hot Women's Place is there, but also all the staff at the libraries know. So it'd be great for, if someone is in need, to go to the library and just ask a staff member when the next time a Hot Women's Place staff member will be there, because we're not there every single day,
Yeah,
but there is staff there that a few times a week, across the library. So definitely it's a drop in. Don't have to make an appointment, and someone's there to support you.
that's super. And I know you and I have chatted about this before. So if I'm a business, and I want to support the women that work for me, um, uh, I know you offer workshops where you can help businesses support, their
Yes.
employees. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So there's a program called Neighbors, Friends, and Family, and there's a one program underneath that that's called Make It Your Business. And what that is a presentation that one of our staff would come to, businesses and businesses that really have really benefited from having us come in to do this presentation to their staff, because it's really an awkward situation and uncomfortable when a colleague or an employee comes to you to say that they are experiencing some abuse or violence at home, and employers want to know, how do I support this person to the best of my ability? What are the right words to say,
Mhm.
and how can I support her? So this presentation, not only explains what an unhealthy relationship is and abuse and violence, but also how to support your colleague, but also support your employee. So maybe it's changing her parking spot. If she
Mm,
parks in the same spot all the time, because your workplace is typically a very standard thing, right? You know where she works, you know her extension, where her office is, and like I said, maybe she parks in the same parking spot all the
mhm.
time. So how can the employer change some things up for her so that she remains safe? And it's a really important conversation to have with your team as well. If a colleague is if you're noticing something with a colleague, maybe you want to be able to say something, but you don't want to offend her, or something like that. This presentation is really beneficial for all businesses, because as we know, the statistics, 1 in 4 is what they say, but we really believe it's 1 in 3 women will experience violence in her lifetime. So we want to make sure that all women feel safe at home, but also at work.
Yeah, yeah, that's really important. Okay,
Yeah.
so we've talked about awareness and we've talked about education. So now let's talk about money. So because none of these things happen without money.
That's
So,
right.
um, not to be blunt, but So, I had the pleasure of attending the Halton Women's Place Gala that was held in just, I guess, a couple of months ago. And it was just a
Yeah.
spectacular event. And what I was really impressed by was the business support that you have behind this great cause.
Hmm.
So, if I'm, let's say I'm a small business, I don't have a lot of money, but I want to make an impact. What can I do? How can I make sure that my funds are being used to the best value?
Absolutely. Well, unfortunately, yes, we all need, nonprofits, and charity work needs, the support of the community. And we can't do this work alone. We have wonderful, wonderful frontline counselors who support these women every single day. But we can't do it without the community support. We know that for sure. And we're so fortunate to have such wonderful community support. But, any amount, sometimes businesses, even just like individuals, feel like I can't give a lot, so why even give, right? But
Yeah.
every amount is so important to the cause. There's things like, giving to our holiday giving program where you sponsor family at during the holidays. There's something like, our International Women's Day luncheon where you can buy a ticket to come and hear an amazing motivational speaker, usually a survivor that speaks at our luncheons. If you can't do a gala sponsorship and you can't do, a golf sponsorship, but there's so many different ways that we have different campaigns throughout the year that companies can align themselves with and know that their funds will directly assist these women and children that are staying in our shelters. Like I said, we are typically full, if not over capacity for most of the year. So knowing that your donation will directly support these women that are and children that are staying here. We have something called the Safe Shelter Program where, my goal this year is to sponsor every bedroom in these two shelters. And if that's something that, a North Halton business wants to support, I'd love to chat with them because we have, I
Okay.
think, 11 bedrooms in Milton
Okay.
to sponsor. So that's a challenge out there for the business community. But that also shows that our clients that the community supports them because
Yeah.
their name will be in the bedroom, like that it's been sponsored by a certain
Mhm.
company, and that is such an important thing for women who are leaving their abusive home. I know we think it's easy. It's not easy. It's the most dangerous
Oh
time for a
gosh.
woman. So when they see that their community is supporting them, it means so much to them.
Yeah, for sure. I know at Christmas, I was doing some shopping for you guys. And what really struck me was, I think we all buy, we think we're going to buy little kid outfits or pajamas, right? But there were, needs for teenagers, and so
Absolutely.
and I just, it broke my heart because I thought, oh, those kids know what's going on, right?
Right.
They really know what's going on, and so anyway, I just before I start crying, we're just so grateful to have you as members and to be aligned with you and to support the great work that you do in this community. And I encourage every member or potential member that's watching this. Even $100, supports a woman in need and make sure that she has a safe outcome from a precarious situation. So, Carm, thanks for all your work that you and Lori do,
Oh,
and
thank you.
I am sure we will see you soon.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you so much for all the work that you do to help this, organizations like Women's Place. It means a lot to us. So I'm so proud to be a member and thank you for your advocacy.
Our pleasure. We'll see you soon.